Bam, and that's recording. And welcome to the PARAcast. I'm your host, Tomas the Boss Fernandez. Living life. Well, I'm just living. That's about what I'll say. Joining. Yay! Haven't had in
living life outside of the tent, which we can see behind you.
Yes, the
the
wonderful
sleeping tent.
You know what's funny is like when I put it in cabana mode. You know, when I open up two sides, or at least because one side's up against the wall, and I wake up because I feel light breezes on me now from the house, and I'm just like, that's terrible. I can't sleep like that anymore. So even in the daylight, even at like regular nighttime sleeping, I'm starting to zip it up just because I don't like a draft.
Is cabana mode a signal that you want some company?
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm inviting anybody in. Doors unlocked, everybody.
Okay.
Joining me tonight.
I'm feeling an urge to drive over.
It's a pretty good hang. You know, I can connect my my phone.
It feels like you're camping, but you're at home.
Oh yeah, it's literally like glamping, like Kenny likes to pretend they do when they go out with the RV with Clay, where they're just like, we're camping. It's really not. Kenny can come on the show and defend himself. But like I got the PC here.
Kenny would actually have to come on the show because I mean, like, we know he doesn't shoot anymore, and he's pretty much retired there. And I think he's retired from the show at this point. So
I got my cell phone, and my cell phone connects to my computer, which means I can lay in bed, and this PC works with my Beats. So I can have my headphones in, play stuff on this computer, and control it with my phone. Like this.
Why would you all leave that room?
Why? It's just all that through the miracle of Bluetooth, which is probably giving me some sort of brain tumor. Anyways, joining me tonight, he kept calling random numbers and whispering, "The killer's in the house," always forgetting that call ID he's been out for 25 years. It's Steve Koski.
Oh no, *69.
Did you just call this house? And what's it's the ultimate answer that defeats all interrogation? No, I didn't. Jared, you see some guy that runs out of a convenience store that they said matches the description of someone who stole something. What do they tell you?
That was me.
I'm going to use the Trump defense. I'm completely innocent. It was perfect. No. It was a perfect call.
The Trump defense or the George Costanza defense is always very, very good.
I saw a pretty funny one where a judge, the defendant stand in front of the judge, and the judge is like, "It says here you stole a Miami Dolphins shirt." Looks up at him. He's wearing the Miami Dolphins shirt.
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah, there's that one where that judge is given a sentence, and she goes, "I would like to, do you have any final statements?" And the guy there's just like this huge black 25 guy's like 6'6" or 6'7". He's gigantic, and he goes, "I just want to give you a hug, Your Honor." And the judge is like a 40-year-old woman, and then you see him leap over the counter and like you see the bailiff try to intercept him as he's trying.
Awesome.
Oh, dude, he's just like, it's like, holy crap! It's just like
that was all over the nightly news. Oh my God. He's like Superman flying through the air.
Dude, it's just like, oh,
mad props.
It's John Cena.
It was awesome. I'm glad nobody got really hurt, but on principle, that was an awesome jump.
Oh, the thing is like you get found guilty, and then there's sentencing and another hearing later. Like you don't.
Oh, she threw the book at him.
Yeah. All right. Also joining me tonight, to his dismay, Dr. Squatch is not a real doctor and cannot prescribe Ritalin. It's Robert Wyatt.
I've been lied to again. He told me to turn around and cough.
He just kept asking you to bend over and pick up the soap.
The Dr. Squatch soap. And has your penis bump ruined you from... Wait, sorry, hold on a second. Has your penis bump... Has your penis been ruined in a horrific penis pump injury? He can't help. He just wants the pics. It's Jared Stepp.
For science.
You say science. I say passing around the police department.
You say tomato.
Oh,
yeah, it looks like a tomato now.
There's attorney-client privilege. There's HIPAA. There is nothing that says whatever effed up thing you do, police officers cannot share to all their friends, fellow officers, and possibly post it on Facebook. So just remember, technically everything you do tell them can and will be used against you. That they tell you that. They literally tell you that. Anyways,
not can, but will.
So I have this P30 here, and I like this gun a lot, and the magazines are like $45. And so I'm cruising around, and HK's doing this deal where they're like, "Hey, you buy a P30, a VP9, or a P2000, we're going to give you not just the 2 magazines that come in the case, we're also going to send you 4 magazines." And I'm just like,
That's worth
It's
the
like-
price of the gun.
yeah, I'm just like, I got
$100.
to get on this. But I'm like, I don't really want to spend the money and buy another gun. So I was like, all right, so like let's look through what we would sell. And I'm just sitting here and I see that I got a Gen 5 19 MOS, and it's bone stock. I haven't done anything to it except for mount an optic. And I was just like, oh, I'll take the optic off and I'll sell this for 600. And you go out there and you sell it, and like it sold literally in like 7 minutes. I posted this guy's like, could you sell it to me? Like, I've been on the internet and they say the Glock 19 is the best concealed carry gun. Do you believe that's true? And I was like, yes, that is true. It's like how many rounds have been shot on it? I'm like 300 to 400. And he goes like, oh man, that's kind of a lot. It's like, it has like an 80,000 round service life. He goes, oh, that's not a lot. It's like, correct, that is not a lot. And so he's just like, hey, can I come meet you now? Can I come meet you now? And I was like, I was like, he's like lives like 80 miles away, and I'm like, dude, I got work, I can't meet you. So anyway, I met him yesterday, and I handed him the thing, and he like got the money, and then like you saw him literally like smiling, calling his friends. It's like, I got a Glock, just nice young Hispanic kid, just like.
It wasn't one of these. I've got an Arizona driver's license. Is
No,
that okay?
like literally, like you.
Don't ask those questions. You know better than that. They give money. You give gun.
Yeah, whatever.
Nothing
Nice
ever
try,
needs to be
ATF.
discussed.
But yeah, like I asked you, like you got a Utah license. He pulls out his Utah license. He's got a U of U sticker on the back of his car, and he was just like, I own a gun now. I own a Glock 19. This is the best gun for concealed carry. And I was just like, you're right, dude.
I'm 14.
Yeah, you
That's
won.
clearly a liberal that's broken away from the fold. Get him, Steve.
So so I hand him off that, and so I ordered. Palmetto State had these HK VP9s for $500, and I was like, all right, I'll get a VP9. Use the money, get a VP9, and then turn in the certificate, and then turn around and sell that VP9 with 1 mag for $400, and boom, a billion magazines for my my P30. But then I was sitting there, I was just like, I started messing, like hop onto the Patreon and see my discontent about optics plate systems in LTT. And so I was just like, you know what, I could go send this off to get milled for like this little Steiner enclosed optic. And then maybe I'll figure out which one I like and then sell the other one. And so those were the thoughts that I was exploring. And so an HK VP9 will be showing up this week, and I'll turn in my rebate. And all of a sudden, I go from having 5 magazines to this thing for having 11 mags. And, and just
unfortunately, Tom, the rebate ended 2 days ago, so you're not going to be able to do it.
No, don't tell me this, Jared. Get the stun gun out and stop me. Stop me, please.
I'd like to thank you, Jared, because I was tempted for a second there.
I mean,
I don't know. I just made that up.
Shut up! Don't give him that joy in life.
So you're gonna sell that gun with like 1 magazine or no magazines?
Well, I'll sell
like
it. Like I'll try to
deal?
sell it like 1 if I don't like it. Like if I like I might send it off to get. If I like it, if it shoots fine with the iron sights and it works fine, then I'll send it down to get milled for this Steiner MPS, which is off of the Acro footprint. And the reason for that is
may not want to send it to LTT though.
Yeah, well, they don't cut for it anyway, so that'll be fantastic. And the other thing I want to sell this for is because this doesn't mount from the top. It's got a cross bolt mounting system like the AR-15s, like the Weavers, like people used to put on guns back in the 1890s when they used to put, some sort of sighting device on it. Like,
wait, so I could put that on the top of my MP5, like the rail?
No,
the raily thingy.
If you have an Acro mount on the top, but it will not fit to a standard pick mount or Weaver mount. So it'll fit to an Acro footprint. So you can literally go send your VP9 and somebody will cut it so it basically has the Acro mount on top, and you just set it in there, and then you tighten the side screw. And this is the only screw in the entire system that you have to worry about. You can change the battery on the top. You basically clamp it on the gun, screw it down, put a line on it, and then that's that.
Wouldn't that be like the worst way to the worst kind of like optic cut you could ever do, though. I mean, because I don't know. I would think if you're gonna like direct mill something, you'd want something that has some sort of compatibility. Well, no, that's the acro mount. Is
The
that what
acro,
Steiner's
the
on?
acro, the Steiner uses the acro mount, and so there's the
Okay.
acro, the Steiner, and then there's a bunch of clones now that are coming off of that acro mount. And
Okay, that makes more sense.
my money would be put on that if there is a mount for future optics, unless people like Trigicon's like super invested in their mount. That's why they came up with an enclosed optic for their new SCS, which has screws. You use an Allen key to put in sideways to tighten.
Yeah, piano screws.
Piano screws. So you're still on the same footprint, like they're just jerry rigging it, and like so if
Right.
there's anything else, it'll be on the Acro P1 footprint, and so P1 P2 footprint. So I'm just gonna mill it for that if I like it. Hang this thing on it. Done. I'm tired of fucking plates. Not like having sexual intercourse with them, but them as something that should be disparaged.
In that tent.
It is, yeah. Tired of plates. Direct mill's
Plates
fine.
are ribbed for your pleasure.
the only gun that has not been disappointing with the optic system is my Jaegerworks directly milled Glock, and my no, that's it. That's right. That's it. So
That checks out.
everything else has been somewhat of a disappointment. I mean, like I haven't had an M&P core, and like an M&P core, you know, they thread directly straight in through, you know, spacers, and so that could work just fine. I'm done with it. I'm done screwing around. I'm done.
I do really like the M&P core system. The way they did that, where they're not using a plate, they just have all the screw holes add to the top of the slide, and then there's these little plastic spacers that can help adjust and put the optic where it needs to be. It was really clever, and I was really impressed with it when I saw it for the first time. I'm like, oh crap, there's no plates on this. This is awesome.
Yep, and they're plastic
I'm
spacers.
becoming more and more of a fan of just direct milling the optic onto it.
Oh yeah, that's the best. That's the best by far.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the two guns that I have it on, I look at it and I'm like, this just works. And I understand why you wouldn't, because I mean, then you don't have compatibility or interchangeability, I guess is the real word, right? But man, I mean, just how well, I mean, like the Holosun just kind of like drops onto the shield and just stays there. Even on my Shadow 2, it just stays there. It's solid. There's nothing to worry about. It's only 2 screws. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I understand getting like an MOS or whatever system. Like it saves you the 8 weeks or something from sending the gun off to get milled. It gives you like the versatility of whatever optic you want, and like they can work and work well and do it. It's just like if you use them long enough or screw around with them long enough, you're going to run into the freaking problem. And that's it. It's something that you have to stay on top of. And I just like as far as like a carry gun or like a home defense gun, it's like I don't want to stay on top of this thing at all. And it's like if it's going to be your main competition blaster, like it's best not to have to stay on top. And if your system requires a plate because that's the way it comes from the factory, like my PDP, then I'll get like a CNC Pros steel plate that's deep enough that I'll lock into the dam system and I'll lock the optic into the top, and I know it's going to be fine. But playing around with,
and that's but that's the thing, Tom. I think the industry's matured enough to know that anybody who's using an aluminum plate, even if they have like these steel inserts, it's a poor way to go. And steel is really the only thing you should do. I mean, I know people still do it, but it's just a decidedly suboptimal system compared to steel plates.
Are the aluminum plates to keep the weight down, keep the mass down?
No, it's because they're trying to be cheap.
You can make them,
and it's. I mean, well, an aluminum plate is easier to manufacture.
Sure.
So your small shops can whip out their CNC machine or whatever and just do an aluminum plate way easier than if you did it with a steel. And so it just takes less technology. I would make that guess, but
okay.
They just can't handle.
But the plates that came with my Glock, those are good to go, right?
No.
I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that.
The
I don't know what they are.
The MOS plates are they're aluminum plates. They're
like pot metal.
Well, let's be clear on the Glock. when you remove back on like the old Gen 3s and Gen 4s, when you remove the Tenefer from the slide, there wasn't like a whole lot of like what we would call like high quality metal in there. It's not like you would like, there's probably a reason why Glock never came out with stainless slides, because they were like a little too fancy feast for us. But they used a very hard coating. The guns were fantastic. And so like the plates are softer, and people have torqued them down, and you can literally watch the plates bend, like flex up and stuff. And so, and then the other part is you're running steel screws in them, and then you're going to go shoot them a bunch. And so eventually you can have stuff start wiggling out. But there's the one thing with the Glock MOS system. I mean, you can get a forward control plate or any number of like quality steel plates in the gun and then have them work. So
the best thing you can do, Steve, honestly, is do what Jared does and put the little white witness marks on all your screws and just keep an eye on them.
Okay.
And if they ever start to move, then pull them off, throw the screws away, put new screws on. Ideally, at that point, maybe look if you can find one, find a steel plate for it, and then you should be good that way. But just do it. I mean, I learned it from Jared, and I know Alex does it as well, and I'm sure a lot of people do, but I'd never seen it until I saw Jared. And just witness mark them.
I've always just used a pencil, but you say there's a better, like a paint pen or something?
Oh yeah,
pencil
I mean,
works, or
anything
paint pen works. Anything, as long
anything
as
you got. I use this one called a metallic marker that I got at like Hobby Lobby or something like that, and it puts a nice, very obvious mark on it. It doesn't matter. Just
he sniffs some. He sniffs some first for quality. Just puts them right up against the nose.
No, that's my alcohol markers. we love those PARAcast.
It's like
that was actually funny. We're at our office. We're going through and we're actually remodeling our print room because we got a brand new plotter. Actually, plots color now. Yeah, that's some fancy shit right there. Was it like $18,000 later? I think is what it was.
Jeez,
that's not bad.
Still cheaper than a Civic.
Oh, I mean, 18,000 is nothing. I mean, for our office, that is functionally like an eighth of a job. So we don't really care. But it returns a lot of value, and just being able to print drawings in color, where before you're trying to use line weights and lighter shades of basically black to denote distance and things like that. To do stuff in color it's a complete game changer. It's functionally going to be like going from hand drafting to CAD drafting. It's that big of a deal. And so, but anyway, totally segued that. We used to run these. We use blueprint machines, and you would use ammonia. That was the developing agent. And we found a couple of bottles of that stuff. And so he handed it to the new guy. Hey, smell this. Tell us if it's actually still good.
Whoa.
After he got up off
Robert, my nose is still running.
Of course it is. Like, wow. After 20 years, that stuff's still potent.
Yeah, well, look at that. Look at that. Hey.
Smelling salts, gentlemen.
Hey, see if this starter fluid's still good.
Stuff.
Spray a little of the starter fluid on your collar. Give it a sniff. Tell me if it's still good. So anyway, Robert, you send that M&P off?
No, I'll give it to him this week when I see him at the match. And so
nicely.
But it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. But so it's fun this week. We did our introduction to USPSA match. Had 21 people show up.
Whoa.
And that was down because of the snow. We originally had 26 people who wanted to come to that match. The snow this week was terrible.
I spent 4 hours and 37 minutes getting from West Valley to Orem on Wednesday night or Tuesday night. Tuesday night, I spent literally just to cover the 215 from West Valley to the 15 was an hour and 20 minutes. It was, well, all the other suckers around me weren't getting paid $60 an hour to do it. I was, but I still found it frustrating. And if I should have known that I was going to be there for 4 hours, because then I would have started a series, but I thought I was going to clear up every 10 minutes, so I never turned on something to watch. And turns out I learned this. When you go 3 miles an hour, you only cover 3 miles in 1 hour.
That is a shocker of all shockers right there.
It's crazy. You're just like, wow, I'm only 3 miles ahead of where I used to be.
It's that Common Core math right there.
Geometry in action.
Yeah, it took me 45 minutes to get home, which normally should have been 15. And I was like, this sucks. I feel bad for anybody who had to go south. And then you tell how long it took, and I was like, oh, poor Tommy. That is rough.
I was about 3.5, 4 hours to get home from 3300 south to Eagle Mountain.
Gosh.
I literally watched as soon as I got over the point. Well, the funny thing is too, like, I'm sorry everyone, this is like local traffic, but I'm going over the point of the mountain, very steep grade over there, and it's of course on I-15, so one of the biggest major thoroughfares in the United States of America. And there's some guy who's pulling a track trailer. He can't get up it. And then there's this guy, and so everyone's merging to the left so that like there's an entire right lane that's kind of open, but it's like not been driven on, so it's caked full of snow. And there's this one like 33-year-old guy who looks like he just knows everything because he's got his BMW 3 or 5 series car, and it's got all-wheel drive, X-Drive. And he's sitting there going, why the F are all these other suckers just sitting here? So he gets up to like 40 miles an hour, scoots all the way over to the right so we can shoot past in front of this truck and go up with this 4-wheel drive BMW. And then the bitch learns a little something we like to call about hydroplaning. And so all 4 tires lift off at the same time, which means he ain't got shit for traction, and then just goes sideways. And like he's literally steering the vehicle, like looking out the driver's side window, as he's going in there, and just hits the wall and then spins out. And I just like drop it into 4-wheel drive on the tractor, lock the axles, and just drive out there.
Everyone just laughed at him.
Yep, watching a BM driver put it into the wall, that you just know that God exists.
Yeah, you just sit there and you just like, thank you for punishing the wicked.
I'm not normally a praying man, but thank you, Jesus. All I'm going to say, for all you California people who are thinking of moving here, this happens on a weekly basis, and it usually gets a lot worse. So you
don't come by.
Should move to Arizona because much better weather.
So that's what I saw was just all these poor little bastards in Honda Civics that were just trying to drive up the hill, and then all of a sudden their back wheels are just like, Everybody starts panicking, trying to scoot over to the left to get around them because they're about to just start.
Oh yeah, you all see the new people who this is their first winter or their first year driving, because they literally cause all the accidents for the first 2 months of the winter. It's all the people who's just like, I'm from Texas and we're coming out here to see my oh no, and like it's just the same thing all the time. So do yourselves a favor, stay away. Jesus. You got Skype, you got Zoom.
Jesus is like, you're on your own. Screw you. I did all my work putting that BMW into the wall.
Well, that's why they're just like, that's why everyone has Subarus out here. So
it was a funny thing when I turned 16, like my dad had like 2 requirements to get your license as far as a car. It had to be 4-wheel drive and it had to be a manual transmission. And that was kind of the big thing then, right? And he's like, we live in Utah, and surprise, surprise, it actually gets snowy here. So maybe you should have something that could handle that.
Yeah, well, I've spent my entire adult life driving 2-wheel drive, lightweight, rear-wheel drive cars in the snow. And it takes a little getting used to. You got to kind of get good at it. But it's not something you decide to learn how to do on the way home from work.
No, that's decidedly suboptimal. That is funny.
All season tires, front wheel drive for me.
Yep, that'll get you there. That'll get you home. All right, guns. Back to guns.
Back to guns. So this week we had our indoor match. That was a lot of fun. A lot of new people. I think there was only actually 2 that had ever shot a match before. It was Kevin Isaac and this young kid. He's like, what is he, like 10, 11? Named Stetson, who came out and shot. But otherwise, it was all new people, and they did great. And
I 5-round snubby revolvers.
No, everybody. Let me see.
Alex wasn't there.
What's that?
Alex wasn't there.
Yeah, Alex has pretty much gone pure revolver at this point. I mean, I'm waiting for him to like start hitching up his pants to his nipples and like talking about the old days of the Golden Corral with Perry Mason.
Hey! I will say I'm very proud of Alex because I see him every once in a while. We get lunch, and he'll always be like, "Hey, look, I got a Glock. And I'm like, hey, good for you. I'm so proud.
You should give him all your wife beaters, Jared.
I should.
If he's becoming a revolver man.
But no, we did that, and then so that it was fun. It was really good to see a lot of people come out. I was gonna go shoot the Saturday match, and the weather was crappy, and I lucked out because my brother was like, could you come over Saturday morning and help me with my basement? And I'm like, yes, I will,
Yes,
as opposed to freezing my ass out in the cold.
Yeah.
So I went over and did that, and it sounded like that was a good idea because apparently they had a stage that it was a 6-minute turnover, and that's rough. Three strings, a lot of complicated, like single shot, reload kind of stuff going on. I don't think the stage designer thoroughly thought that one through, but that's okay. But
yeah,
then
3 strings is rough.
Yeah,
especially because somebody's, every other shooter is going to want to like clear their gun and do a fresh load and make ready.
Well, and then the other,
I watched Leo shoot it, and Leo, I didn't see the times on it, but Leo shot it. I saw his video, and he shot it efficiently, but he was the match winner, and so he's at the tippy top of it, and even that took time. So I can't imagine what as you start pushing down on the ranking. And it sounded like there was a squad and a half backup or something like that. But the cool thing I was going to talk about was I got this. So when I dry fire at home, I have been always like sticking stuff up against the. I just like blue tacky tape it onto the wall, and Andrea's never likes that because people come over and then she's like, "You need to take it down," and I'm like, "Why?" They know what I do. It's like it doesn't matter. It looks bad, and I'm like, fine. And so Keanu Sai. He does it's CSRG, it's Competitive Shooters Resource Group. He made these cool little stands.
Oh,
you can take the like the little Ben Steger Pro Shop, and they'll actually hold the 1/6 inch size targets up. But now I can just take these and I can put them in there, and then I actually took a little bit of like the blue tacky tape just to hold it into place, and I can just put it anywhere. I can put it on the table, and I can use.
You got your little action figures.
I know, and it's funny because it's such a simple. I mean, this is not something hard to make. I mean, anybody could actually make this thing, but it's a pretty clever solution to. I mean, creating a little stand that you could just move all over the place. I'm really excited about it because, I mean, I showed them to Andrea as soon as I got it, and she's like, "Why'd you get that?" And I'm like, "Well, it means that I'm not putting them on the wall."
Doing it
she's
for
like,
you.
"Oh, you should get more."
Doing it for you.
Yeah, she's like, "Finally, something gun related that I actually take advantage of."
nice.
But I like it. I think it's a cool little solution. I'm kind of excited to see him.
That is awesome. Steve?
Nothing directly, other than a friend of mine who has gun money burning a hole in his pocket decided to buy a 327 Federal Mag revolver. And then, of course, he had to get a second revolver. And then, of course, he had to get 1,000 pieces of brass from Starline. And then he had to buy the shorter version to make lighter loads. And then, of course, he had to buy, a couple thousand bullets. And I think by the time the whole thing's said and done, he's, $2,800 into this.
To shoot 327. To shoot 327, like out of like an LCR.
What is the advantage of a 327? I mean, I've heard of the cartridge, but I just don't know why anybody would actually buy today's standards.
I think you get, in the size of a 5-round revolver, you get 6 rounds, and it's, like Tokarev kind of velocities where you get a 100-grain bullet at 1,600 feet per second or something.
Huh.
Well, and the other big thing is you get the one extra bullet, and then you can also use not just 327s, but you can shoot 32 long, you can shoot 32 short.
You can drop down to,
because we all have that stuff.
Well, you can drop down to the you can drop down to one of the most ineffective center fire cartridges that's possible to be shot out of a small revolver. Like
let's get with the 25 ACP.
Yeah.
But anyway, he doesn't have any of this stuff yet. It's all on order, and I think he dropped $3,000 in about a day and a half. He was so excited. But.
Well, at least with the revolver shooting 327 brass, you can always you basically get like a 99% pickup rate, for that
yeah.
brass. It's not like when you
And
get
honestly, it's worse than 38 Super because anybody who picks that thing up, you're like, what the fuck is this?
well, it's just an annoyance for everybody else. But 327 doesn't fit because no one reloads 32 caliber for anything.
Yeah.
But the other part about like the 38 Super Comp, it just gets ejected 2 miles, and then you see not only do you have to deal with it on the range, but you have to deal with the person walking around after they shot the stage, like not okaying anything, not topping off their mags, looking for like, no, that's not my piece of brass. I put 4 stripes on my piece of brass, and my color code is this, and it's just like, get out of here, leave.
Yeah, but I have to say, I mean, the way that Taylor Daggs does it, I mean, he's got his color coded so obviously. I mean, you're just walking around, and your eyes can just see it. That's at least cool.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
you
there's
know,
the ones that like put the little teeny tiny thing, and like they put an X on the back or something. Like, oh, how the hell am I supposed to see that?
well, I just look at the and I go like that looks like a 9mm. I'll keep it. That's how I do it.
and then you sell it back to him at bargain discount rates, but not
Once
really
a year,
discount.
you give them all the Matt Walkie. That's what I do. You want this? Sure.
There it is. Jared?
I kind of was in the same boat as Robert. I was supposed to go shoot the match this past Saturday, and because I've been wanting to get back into USPSA again, but snow. And I looked at the
Yeah.
weather and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna stay at home, stay up till like 3 a.m. playing video games, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. So we did that, and then I took the kids sledding, and it's been a good weekend, but not a whole lot of shooting stuff. Just I got to do some work stuff, which was fun. I got a new rifle at work, which is fun. I got a 308 bolt gun, a genuine sniper rifle, so it's an accuracy international
Ooh.
308 with some US optics on it, and it's nice, but now I got to figure out how to shoot it. So I was talking to
I thought you were going to say now I got to find somebody to shoot with it.
also that, but the main thing is I want to go out to a PRS match or something, and I got to get some long range practice with it. And we were supposed to go do that with Alex one of these days, but out at the farm. But again, it's just snowing. So
Yeah,
It's
not
hard. It is hard when the weather gets just cruddy. I mean, there was a time when, I mean, come rain or shine. I mean, I always put this picture up there, like when we shot that New Year's Day Steel Challenge, and it was -23, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do it anyway. Eventually, you're just like, I don't think so.
I think all 4 of us are far enough in our shooting careers to realize that that's not fun.
No.
anything I
it's
kind of
not
really
worth
want to
it.
do, I can just do dry fire, and all the stuff that I have to do, I can do in the indoor range. Like that's kind of where I'm at. Like going out and like practicing or shooting a match, it better be a good match. People I like better be going there, and we all better be getting something hot to eat immediately after. Unless those criteria are met, like I don't give a shit if I'm 2% away from making the next classification. Like, I'm going to roll over in the bed. Like, I'm not doing that. It's just like, oh, let's have
Dakota,
wet
like,
feet. Let's do that.
Dakota, he showed me this game. It's called Starfield. Bethesda came out with it. Basically, it's Skyrim in space.
It's Fallout space, yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, it's really fun. And so I started playing it yesterday, and it was like, 5 hours later, I'm still playing. I'm like, I should go to bed.
I
But-
should go.
Yeah. So it's really easy to get sucked in on those video games. But like, it's play that or freeze my ass off in the snow. Oh, decisions.
Right.
Well,
I also had a friend. A friend who's seen some shooting videos of mine who doesn't know anything about action shooting, but he's got a SIG P320 from
Poor
back in the
thing.
day, the compact one. I want to ask him, like, has this been drop tested? You checked online for recalls? But we're signed up to shoot the IDPA match next week up in Kaysville. But
Awesome.
again, we'll see what.
well,
Weather can be pretty wicked.
you can
Well, the
bring,
weather's I mean, this week is supposed to actually be warming up
Oh,
enough
good.
that it'll
Yeah,
like hopefully it'll do it quick enough that it lets the bays kind of dry out a bit. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it just
Yeah.
started snowing here again, but Yeah.
becomes my, hey, you could do him a favor and go on to online and order him an agency trigger, and then you just go, just for everyone else's safety here, you could take that apart and put the trigger in, and then be like, wow, look, see this little thing on the front, it's called a drop safety. Everyone else in the industry thinks that they need one. Not SIG, they don't think they need one, but they need one.
So-
They just don't want to admit it.
The agency trigger has the dingus.
Yes, agency makes a P320 trigger with the dingus. I think it's only like $150. So just when you want to get the safety up, but don't.
Just borrow his gun, put an empty case in there, and just sit there, just bang it on the concrete a little bit, and just see
Well-
if it goes off.
Well, just
if it doesn't, then you're golden.
Science.
yeah, you could literally just go around and be like, hey, let's find someone to trade your gun, and then just ask everybody if they'll trade. And then once they find it, like, don't worry, it's a trade up. Anyone you go to, well, go have them buy a HK-VP9 from Palmetto State Armory for $500. You get 6 mags with the thing, and then you could literally throw that thing off the 3rd story, and it'll be just fine, and he'll be all the better for it. So have him do that. Anyways, if you need something to hang your potentially dangerous blaster that you haven't upgraded to an agency trigger, hang it on something nice. Head over to dominatedefense.com and get yourself the best belts in the industry. I'm wearing one. At one point yesterday, I was wearing 2 at the same time. So check them out. Use promo code PARA10 and save 10% off from the Mach 1 speed bump to the Tier 1 concealed carry belt. Get one of those things. You'll never regret it. Check them out. You'll ask to be buried with them when you die. Also, check out Precision Holster's Fast Holster. Use promo code PARA10. Completely compatible with all your hangers and a fantastic adjustable retention and meant for competition holster. You'll love it. Check them out at precisionholsters.com. And get some extra weight in the front of that gun. Get an extra bullet. Check out W74 Guide Rods and Rune Tactical. Same promo code, still saves you money. And Telegram. Send us messages. Ask us questions. Get into a 58 comment thing about divisions because you guys can't stop talking about divisions.
We call that the Tyler Turner effect.
Yeah. And Robert's going to ask him. Go.
I mostly just want to read this, but can anyone help me out? I'm trying to find the episode where there is an explanation of different shoulder-fired rockets, how they work and their effectiveness in the Ukraine conflict, or maybe an updated version for next episode. Any help would be wonderful. Thanks in advance.
I would imagine that would have been like a February episode from 2022 where we talked about some of those. I remember going in there and just studying like javelins and then what the British used and what all the other people used and how they guide them and all this other stuff. Like it's pretty nuts. But like everyone said,
why are we explaining about rockets?
Listen, Fed.
Why are we
Listen,
not
Fed. We'll explain.
this?
We got the freedom of speech. We're gonna explain what we want.
I mean, I've seen how this country's going. I know the third in order effect of things.
All I'm saying is, if I ever find a Carl Gustav, I'm pretty. There's some things that
so down with that.
There's some things that just never seem to age. It's like 1911s and like rocket launchers. Like rocket launchers, they get little upgrades here and there, but they're still the same old fancy feast that they used to be from World War II.
Did you see that video? It was going around, I don't know, like a month ago or so, but some guy, one of the YouTube channel that does like high speed YouTube videos, he did a video and he was trying to fire an RPG and the thing like blew out on him.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The RPG rocket malfunctioned and detonated on ignition.
Yeah. He lived, but I mean, suboptimally.
Having the G go off, a foot from your head is not a good thing.
Yeah, that's decidedly not cool.
Well, like even if you had like the backblast of it covered, the fact that the RPG 7s and stuff like that literally have the warhead exposed, and then you are the guy who gets the like, here's your only shot you're ever going to take out of an RPG 7. Also, the warhead's going to go off on ignition. Like,
yeah,
that's bad news bears. Like good on him for wearing like body armor plates and a helmet. Cause like if he wasn't wearing
for that, he was probably a goner.
Yeah, that crazy sauce.
Well, like also the thing is that's still just kind of just blowing my mind is, I mean, you watch like in the Ukraine Russia thing, how effective that javelin actually is.
Yep.
And there's a part of me that's sitting there and it's like, why are we still having a discussion about tank warfare when you're seeing those rockets just become a force multiplier for infantry?
Well,
It just blows my mind.
here's the thing: the rock paper scissors. There was a lot of moves in rock paper scissors that everyone thought wouldn't be as effective. One, anti armor rockets, and two, modern day man-pad anti-air devices and SAMs. Because you notice that there's not a whole lot of flying around nowadays, and there's not a whole lot of tanks. There's trenches, and there are grenades being dropped from drones. That
Well,
is what
fundamentally, it's like, but that's the funny thing.
in
though, is,
artillery.
I was listening to a show talking about this, and like the only reason that like you're seeing this kind of trench tank warfare is because at this point nobody owns the skies. And
Nope,
I mean,
nobody owns any momentum.
So they basically were saying, and like whoever owns the airspace owns the battle.
Yeah, it's essentially locked up for forever now. They better come up with a peace treaty because there's no breaking through this or doing anything.
Yeah, because like my position at the end of the day on this thing is I just want. I mean, I actually take the Trump position. I want the killing to stop.
That's
pretty much it. I just want the killing to stop.
You can't do anything about it, and no amount of money will displace anybody. We basically have bought Ukraine what would be the modern of 2/3 of the United States Air Force.
Yeah.
So unless you decide that you are going to get F-35s and B-2 bombers and start displacing things because your stealth technology will overrun it, and then you want to compete with nuclear arms, it's donezo. It's a done deal because that's the one trump card everyone has is like, you got a B-2. I still have 5,000 nukes from 1960.
They do. The challenge is the nuke is still functionally the do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Correct.
And the world will now hate you forever.
It is the
it's like you don't recover from that one.
Nope.
I mean Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Right.
Have you seen the cartoons that they put out? I don't think so. I'm sorry.
I think they're fantastic.
I bet you do.
Listen, anime is fantastic. How dare you even insult it? Anyway, next question.
Let's see. Next question from Hayden Brown. I went to an ex-USPSA hit factor match, and it was a mix of IPSC/USPSA rules: 165 major power factor, 15 round production, can't step outside the shooting batteries, but still allowed to walk stages ahead of time, no shoots placed in ways that made allowed shoot through possible. I found myself missing the standard rule set provided by standard USPSA match. We'd love to see LO and CO combined in the same division. What's the ideal rule set?
There is no ideal. It depends who you ask. Everyone's going to have a different ideal rule set.
I would say, Steve, the ideal rule set is one that is consistent across the entire country, where you're going to be playing. So IDPA and USPSA does. I mean, even IPSC inside of that realm does have a consistent rule book. So that if I travel to, because Steve, you did it all the time when you were traveling around shooting IDPA matches, you knew that you could go and get a consistent rule book. That was darn awesome.
And people are like, well, what if it's 90% the same? Well, remember when we shot that match outside of Vegas that was a USPSA like match? And like they don't follow the same popper calibration. And then you get the match director or the range master over, and he doesn't follow US. He just does whatever the hell he wants. So
I shot the USPSs.
I'm with you. There's so much value to having being not just being in the same sport when you're traveling or driving to some match. It's just, for me, I just would not waste my time to go shoot Uncle Bob's hit factor match just because you just don't know what's going to happen.
I think it's dumb to do a hit factor match that isn't USPSA.
The exact same set of rules.
If you're gonna do a hit factor match, just do a USPSA match, but have it not be that. Like if you want to do a 3-gun match or a IDPA match, that's fine. But to have them, there should
just
only
do it
be
as a level 1 USPSA match. Just have it be a USPSA match, please.
Well, if you're
so interesting you bring up that, Steve, because so this week, based on what we were talking, all the people were asking for last month. This coming week is the regular indoor match, And enough people are like, we want to have the concealed carry. We'd like to actually have that as a division. I'm like, sure, no problem. So I actually created a division, called it concealed carry. But to do that, it takes it outside of the USPSA. So I'm like, okay, I'll just call this a hit factor match. We're still going to do the USPSA rules. We're still going to run it. I mean, as consistently as we can. But people wanted to have a division.
Right. This is a
And
once
that's
a
all that
year
changed.
concealed carry match. Spot that stuff's fine. Clubs
Yeah.
do that all the time.
Yeah, well,
So-
the one thing is like, you could have any sport you would like. The problem is with all these matches that are quote unquote this but not this, is that there's like, oh, we'll change this rule and we'll change this rule. But then when it comes with all the other rules, they decide not to do it. So unless you have the rule book agreed upon and set out before you start the match, and that rule book looks for all the contingencies of something that would happen, like a well-established rule book like IDPA or USPSA, then you can sit there and probably go through it and be just fine. What happens is it's when it's the 40% adoption, and the 80% will kind of do it this way, and then the 20% gray zone, because then you have the, well, how are we going to calibrate these poppers? Well, I'm going to go down there and test it with my big knuckle. My big knuckle's never been off. And then you're just like, well, now we're in the 20%. And like, what about that guy's gun? That guy's gun, it's cocked and with no safety on, and he has it in the holster, and he goes, well, that's just fine with us. I thought we were doing USPSA divisions and rules. Not that
It
one.
just turns into 3-gun, where there's 4 or 5 different governing bodies of various sizes.
Right.
You just really never know what you're going to get into.
Yep.
It's
No,
funny. It's funny.
it's
It's
super
funny to me.
frustrating.
It's funny to me because you have all these clubs, and look, take a step back. I don't care about the politics of Area 3, but just take a step back for a second. And you have all these clubs that are running, or say we're going to run these hit factor matches, which is great. Fine, do whatever you want. I'm happy for you. But a lot of them are now saying, well, we're going to go and introduce our own rule set.
Yeah, that's dumb.
And it's like, okay, well, now we have a problem because there's no consistency anymore. And one of the big hallmarks is you just get this level of consistency, and it's hard for a person who wants to travel and shoot a match. And I'm kind of with you, Steve. I'm not going to spend the money to go and shoot a match, as much as I may want to be a part of it and support that. I just don't want to I don't want to travel and try and spend the money for that kind of thing. It's just too hard.
Yeah. It's too bad.
Yeah.
It's too bad. It's really a shame. I hope whatever this wind is, I hope it blows over as fast as possible.
I think it should. I mean, it's the USPSA shooters and the board of directors have one commonality in that they never really think beyond the steps of today and then tomorrow. And so the law of unintended consequences tends to smack the board especially, but USPSA tangentially in the face really fast of, hey, we're going to do this stuff because we're mad now. Cool. What happens if you do this? Oh shit, we didn't think about that.
Well, the thing,
well, now let's think about it.
I would rather shoot a level 1 match with kind of iffy rules than have a USPSA that is so poorly run that it's basically going to self-implode and we're not going to have USPSA anymore. So I understand the idea of taking the little bit of poison right now to make sure that the organization moves in a different direction.
Oh no, I'm not.
But that's like everyone else on the show.
I understand what you're saying. I really do. I get that. And I'm with you. I'm just saying that it goes back to my question. Like, what's the off ramp here? I mean, like,
correct.
Have we actually thought about the first, second, third order?
What does the finish line look like that we will stop participating in the behavior that we don't want to? Because listen, nobody wants to shoot outlaw nonsense. Everyone wants to bring their favorite gun and somehow squeeze it into the match that they want to shoot and get a score for it. But all the other nonsense, nobody wants to play around with that game. Nobody wants to.
I agree. Let's see. From Mr. Jerk, if price is not a deciding factor, what would your ultimate carry pistol be, and would your competition pistol be?
Oh.
Price is not a factor. Watch Steve spout out 2 Glocks. Steve, go.
I'm the wrong one to ask this question. You guys should field this one. You guys know what the high test stuff is these days.
I don't. You know what? For me, price isn't really a factor, and I'm still going to shoot I like my shield. I happen to like it as a gun. I picked it not because of price. I picked it because it did what I wanted it to do. That's just what I liked. I mean, a lot of people love the 1911s, the concealed carry match. You saw people bringing like concealed carry staccatos, and do they really carry them? I don't know. I don't really care, but that's what they brought, and that's what they like. I happen to really like the shield. I can carry it all day long and never feel like, oh man, this thing's weighing me down. I very much like it.
Jared?
I'm actually building one right now. I have a Commander length 2011 that a custom smith is building up for me. But
in 45.
45 gap.
Yeah, buddy.
Actually,
we set prices in an option, so obviously it's gap.
327 federal.
Oh,
no, I actually for me I shoot 2011s the best. And I think all of us here, we have a gun that we shoot the best except for Tom. Tom shoots a variety of guns, all subparly, but
subparly, just right around B minus, right around B minus.
Changing them up often enough.
But I've always liked the 2011. I've always loved the 2011. I've had a idea for a carry gun / competition gun kicking around in my head for probably 5-6 years now, and I got a single stack version of it, which is the Dan Wesson Valkyrie. And I just commissioned a new gun that's essentially going to be essentially a Dan Wesson Valkyrie with the high power cuts, with the Butler cuts, with some more slide work, but it's going to be a 2011. It's going to have a RDS cut
STI mag.
It's going to have a trigger. Yeah, STI mags.
You know that money's not an option when somebody says, "I just commissioned."
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I put a down payment.
Well, he's getting his kids painted,
and it's going to be fun. That's going to be my main gun. I'm going to shoot it probably for classes, for real, depending on how it shoots. I honestly might be shooting it in limited optics quite a bit. It's just it's a new gun that I've always wanted, and
nothing says trust me, I'm a good instructor like a fully kitted out custom 2011.
You're gonna get a pair of these, right?
Yeah.
No. Can't you get one?
You got to dual wield those babies.
No, he can't commission two. He can only commission one.
Yeah, come on. I don't have money for two right now, but really, I might order a second one, but it depends on how this first one goes. The company's called Tactical Steel Customs. It's a cop out of Kansas City. He was recommended to me by some 2011 guys that I trust. So I was talking to them, and that's the thing. The 2011 market has gone absolutely insane right now, where you have guys paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for concealed carry guns, which, I mean, if you can do it, good for you, but I cannot do that, and that is absurd. So this guy, he's charging about $3,500 for a custom built. Like, I get to pick the slide cuts, I get to pick every single part in the gun, I get to pick everything about the gun, which in my opinion is very reasonable for a full custom build. I think most of these custom 2011s should be in that $3,000 to $4,000 range. With once you start putting compensators on
Wilson
there, maybe
Combat's
bump
the
up
cheap
to
one.
5. Right, exactly. But it's ridiculous. The 2011 market has gone insane. But that would be my ideal concealed carry gun. And whenever it gets here, actually I started it back in November, so it should actually be finishing up this month or next month, hopefully.
The one thing I will never do if I get to put a gun together is pick all the stuff myself, because that sounds like when you're 15 and you're like, I'll mix a bunch of the sodas together and it'll be great. And you take a sip and it's like, this tastes like horse shit. Like, I was like, because you don't know anything, dummy. And so, like,
that's because you're stupid.
That's because you're stupid. So, like, if I had like a carry gun like this LTT P30 LEM, like, that's a pretty fancy feast carry gun, and like, I'm very happy to have it. And in all actuality, I should just carry a Glock 19 or a freaking Glock 17, and those are the guns I'd compete with. If I had to have a fancy feast competition gun to shoot what the kids call LO nowadays, I would probably try to get something like a what was that high capacity 9mm frame 1911 that Wilson Combat makes. I think that's kind of a cool little jammer. One of the Bull Armory pistols. I do not trust myself at all pick anything or to do anything. I'd be like, you guys are the only ones who make this magazine. They'd be like, yep. I was like, does this magazine need to be tuned? Are you guys going to start playing with me? Who do I have to send to tune it? It's just like, no, it has one magazine that's proprietary. I'd be like, that's for me. Ship it. So that's kind of what I would play around with.
All right, let's see. From Chris Meinhardt. Have any of you guys shot a PCSL match? What do you think of the K zone? How often do people take the risk of only one shot? And at what distance are you confident in taking that risk?
I like PCSL a lot. I really like the K zone. It creates an interesting dynamic into a match. It's fun when you're shooting and things go poorly. They don't go to your plan. And as you're getting to that end of the stage and you know that you are like, I only got like 6 bullets left in this mag, and you have to do a reload normally, but there's 4 targets left. And so when you run into position, you're like, actually, headshot, 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 and then you can be done. So I actually really like it. I think it adds an interesting level of thought and planning for the match. That's actually one of my favorite things about the COP match I run, is that the one in the A zone is actually kind of fun too, because again, it just adds that extra level of awareness. So like if you know you are running low on ammo, do you still want to keep on double tapping everything, do a standing reload and then finish? Or you can actually start just doing alpha, 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 alpha.
The only interesting thing about that is, I mean, like, I know it's your COP match, and I actually understand the scoring really well. I think the K zone in PCSL, if applied to your game more specifically, would actually be more of like, you could put 1 into that upper A box, or even the whole head box for that matter, and that would consider to be a neutralizing hit, because I mean, functionally, even in the copper world, only putting 1 round into a bad guy is still a relatively ineffective hit with a 9mm. But every time, like, you see these things like where you can only put 1 round into it, it is hard for me to not want to put more than 1 round into something.
Well, you got to think about the math this way. Well, you're all shooting at a speed which is so fast that it almost requires no thought, because we program it beforehand. We see the sights, we fire 1, 2, like just watching the sights, 1, 2, into the desired zone that we're trying to hit, and then we instantaneously move on. Yeah. When you have to sit there and you go into like what essentially becomes high percentage shots down to low percentage shots, is 1, you get there and you have to look at the sights, and so then you confirm the sights, then you fire the shot, then you have to process the hit of where that hit is and whether or not you have to make it up for again before you decide to fire the second shot. And so what's been built in, instead of having like this sight, fire 1800ths of a second, fire again program, becomes aim more, fire. It's going to take you at least a quarter second to understand what's exactly happened. Fire again to make it up, and then move on.
I think what you should do is you take a little more time, fire 1, and then the rest of the process is the same. You just fire 1. You just do a little more confirmation.
Yeah, but
I think we should all just be like, what would it be, like the 2018 Deathstalker IDPA Steve, who was stacking down zeros on down zeros. Nice little teeny tiny groups. That was always impressive. Like, damn it, Steve, spread those out for us. Make it a little bit easier for us.
No.
Let us catch you. He's like, screw you all. High overall, here I come.
Also, you should be able to do...
You're so good at that.
You should be able to do a reliable headshot at 10 yards.
Yeah, I think everyone can.
Everyone, you should be capable of a reliable headshot at 10 yards. Once you can push it back to 15.
No time limit, a 10-yard headshot should absolutely be doable by everybody in our sport once you're past the C.
Oh no, even in like on the clock, like you should a 10-yard headshot is the low bar. Once you get good, then you can start pushing it up to 15, 20 to 25 even. And that's really, in my opinion, that's a big separation point from the lower classes to the higher classes. Is if you can repeatedly do a perfect headshot at 20 yards on the clock, then you're pretty damn good.
Yep.
Right.
The issue for me always becomes no matter what the drill is, if it's one headshot at 10 yards versus draw and shoot 2 to the A zone, I think most of us would win and be faster than ourselves shooting the 2 shots to the A's and always than fast firing the 1 shot. But in the situations that it calls for it and it's already a high percentage shot that you like, even if it's a high percentage shot in regular USPSA, like the advantage would be to fire the 1 shot to the head. Like we've all run into the if there's a tux or if it's a tight shot or if it has a no shoot by it, the high percentage shot to the head would be faster in those situations. Just on the open
so
targets,
you don't even get the whole
harder.
headshot on the PCSL. The
No.
K is only the strange little shape up there.
Yep.
It's like
I mean, it's most of the head, but
Yep. It's a well designed target. There's always a trade off for it, and it sounds like it's easier and it's smaller, and it sounds like half the number of shots, but it's literally twice the amount of processing, and it's not the physical movement of what we're doing to pulling the trigger that makes it better. It's the processing that we have to put into it.
I think when you make the K zone so small, and that you're effectively spending more time trying to put a single round into that, which becomes a high percentage shot. The 2 in the A. I mean, unless you're playing like the limited round divisions, which we don't really do in PCSL. It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the juice is worth the squeeze. It's kind of like the problem that IDPA had with the 1 second down in that upper head box, where I mean, it functionally the points. It just did not make any sense to for that upper A zone or the upper down 0 because it was just so punitive.
Yep. You can literally fire a shot, miss, and then fire a shot and then hit it, and be still under the time of the penalty that would have taken if you didn't make it up.
Yeah,
like it just doesn't make. They should just make a one called the Grand Master spot in the head, where if you shoot that, you don't have to shoot 4 other targets. We'll call it the G spot. Moving on.
That's actually lower.
That's lower.
From Matt, when designing a new stage, what comes first? Walls, targets, fault lines, or do they all happen simultaneously?
Well, I think there's always. I think there's walls and fault lines and barrels that always come later because you walk the stage and then you go, oh no, you can do this from here. I must prevent this from happening.
The very first thing to me that happens is the targets round count. How many rounds is this stage going to be? At that point, once I have that, then the next question is where can I shoot? Like my indoor match, all shots go downrange, so I'm limited there. After that, then I start putting walls up to actually block them so that I can't see it. And then I move my targets around to create different view angles. And at the very, very end, speaking to the indoor match, the fault lines come in to limit the availability of things to be seen, or basically directions that you could fire a shot. And that's what my fault lines ultimately are. If that makes sense.
I would say you're going about it wrong. Like, I mean, well, I see what you're saying, Robert, but thinking of that question and saying, like, how am I going to build a stage? Well, should I start with this or this or this? I would say it all happens at the same time, because for me, anytime I'm building a stage, I already have something planned out. Like, I want to go look up, find a stage that I think looks fun. That's actually one of the big things I do before my big match is I go and just troll Instagram. I troll the big shot USPSA guys, and I'll go look and see, okay, well, what stage is everybody posting from Area 1? What stage is everybody posting from Area 2 or Area 3 or whatever? Or this USPSA match or this 3-gun match or whatever. And then I find out these stages that everyone seems to be posting. And the reason why they post them is it's fun. So you go and you look and you say, okay, this stage looks like it's fun. Why is it fun? You draw it out. And then I actually will plan out all the items I need for this stage. So I'll draw out the stage on a piece of paper, and then I say, okay, I'll need 4 long sticks, 2 short sticks, 1 starting shooting box, 4 long walls, 2 short walls, 16, whatever. You go through and you build out your whole requirement list. You draw out the stage again, and then that's what I have on match days.
Wow.
When I build days, when I show up, I have this piece of paper, and I say, okay, this is your build crew. I have 6 people who are going to build this stage. This is your pile of Lego parts. This is your target. I want you to build this. If you want to change it, or if you want to, fiddle with it to see how you see fit, feel free. But this is the goal. These are your Lego pieces. Fly be free.
That is an absolutely fantastic answer, and I literally will never do any of that because I just don't have. I do not have.
It
the
is not the
bandwidth
way
to pay
your mind
attention
is
long
is
enough.
is possible to do it.
Yeah,
Well,
like the shooters are really lucky when I show up with a post-it note that I have sketched some shit on.
Well,
Usually it is literally like when we drag it in for the indoor match, I throw down the target stands, I put some sticks in, staple up a target, and then I'm like, I'll figure it out as we go.
But it also,
The way you're doing it is it's just smart. It's good planning.
yeah, well, I mean, it also depends on what you're doing. Like, are you doing a weekly match that
Oh,
you're just
sure.
having to repeat? And by this point in life, Robert probably has like 37 stages in the back of his head that he can pull out of his ass and just build.
Yeah.
Where I'm doing one giant match a year where I'm having people pay a lot of money to show up to. And so I also think the level of expectation is different.
Yeah, 100%. No, I no, that's what I'm saying, Jared. I mean, like everything you're saying is like it's just bang on. That's just the way to do it.
I think that's the right way to do it.
Robert's
it really is.
Robert's so
the
ADD.
crackhead way.
In 20 years, he's gonna look like Guy Pearce from Memento. He's gonna be pulling off his pants and seeing all the tattoos of like, what's what am I doing here? What am I gonna do? Who am I gonna call? Who do I talk to? What is?
I have post-it notes. I'll have you know. If you go into my office, I have some post-it notes here, and I have post-it notes right here, and then I always have another little notebook right here, and I write all that stuff down, and then forget about it.
Where's the $18,000 printer?
That's in the other room.
Oh,
He's just printing targets. He's printing adult coloring books out of them. Here we go.
It's just penises.
All right, let's do one more question. I got to cook
Last
7
question,
pounds of meat.
Last question. From Seabass. What are some of the best AR platform rifle instructors in the country?
Jared, you've had a host of them, a bunch of them.
If I was going to go to an AR class, I would go to Brian Nelson.
That's a damn good answer.
To be frank, I've taken a lot of AR classes from a lot of different people, and the majority of them are fucking shit. The majority of them are just useless, and I could teach you everything you need to know for an AR in like a 4-hour block. It's absurd that there's these instructors that try to do it for a 1 or 2 day class, and it's just them trying to stretch out the day, trying to stretch out the hours to get the money, because it's not worth it for them to travel and do a 1-day class. That's literally it. But Brian Nelson, I would 100% go to him. He goes in very much into depth, very much detailed. I've taken multiple classes from him, actually. And Brian every single class I've taken from him has been, in my opinion, an instructor level class where he actually goes into the whys, the how-tos, the wherefores, all the extra little bits and pieces. He doesn't just say, okay, now you want to do this, and then you could do this, and then this, and this, and this, and this is tactical. Meh. He goes into okay, this is why you want to do this. We're going to spend an hour working on your buttstock position and your shoulder just to show you the differences. So I want you to leave this class with not just an understanding of what you should do, but also why you should do it. So Brian Nelson is by far, he's one of the best teachers I've ever experienced, and his class was absolutely phenomenal, and I'd 100% recommend going to him. And he has the pedigree to show for it, teaching wise and competition wise, and Brian's good.
Well, he's only
If you
been
wanna learn
teaching
how to
firearms instruction since he was 16 years old.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been doing it at a literal world scale. Like he
Yep.
he's a world class competitive shooter, and
Which is really funny because you really don't see him on the Instas, like,
well,
and the social medias and stuff like that, really kind of like
the
advertising the wares.
the reason why is because his company, and where they went, where Ken Nelson and Brian Nelson went after leaving SUPS, is they're teaching the government. Brian actually and Ken had a very large contract, we'll say, with U.S. military branch and helping them revamp their shooting program. And that's what they've been doing, is he's actually been going and teaching military for the longest time. And he's doing a very, very good job out there. And I went and took one of his classes where he just wanted to basically test some stuff out. And his class was great. And it seems like that's what he's teaching the .gov folk, if you want to call it that. And he's doing a really good job. And he doesn't do open enrollment classes really ever because he doesn't need to. They have a full-time job of traveling and going from this camp to that camp to this camp to that camp. And they have a lot of contracts right now where they're making a lot of money and they're doing a good job teaching. And that's the biggest thing, is he's a great competitor. He's a great teacher. And it's hard to find a guy like that. And Brian's very, 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 very good.
Well said.
That's awesome.
Yes. Yep. I mean, we all took a pistol class from Brian 7 years ago, and it was the best pistol class I've ever taken over at TPC.
Right.
And we got slotted in with Brian, and yeah, it was a great time. All right, well, thanks for downloading, listening, and subscribing. Thanks for doing all that you do for us. We'll keep doing this for you. When all those other little shows popped up, we're going to talk about practical shooting. 14 weeks later, you've never heard of them again. We're almost at episode 400. F you to those chumps who think they can take the crown. Nope. Our head's not even heavy wearing this crown because we're so freaking awesome. Anyways, thanks for doing it. Thanks for doing all that you guys do. Downloading, listening, subscribing for Steve Koski, Robert Wyatt, and Jared Stepp. I'm Tom Nelson, bidding you peace, love, and soul as we depart into the open waters of the Sea of Life. On a little tugboat we like to call the PARAcast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Good night, everybody.
Do.
Oh, I guess I got to stop my recordings.
Don't do it.